Two rose bushes, same variety, same bed, 3 feet apart. It's the second week of August. The thermometer's been sitting above 95 for 6 straight days. And one of these plants looks like it's melting, leaves curling, buds browning before they even open, growth completely stalled. The other one, right next to it, is still pushing out fat new buds and glossy leaves like the heat isn't even happening. Same sun, same soil, same brutal week. So what's different? It comes down to 7 things gardeners quietly do to their roses in August specifically. Not in spring, not in general, but in this one narrow, brutal month. And those 7 things are the difference between a rose that survives August and a rose that uses August to set up the biggest bloom flush of its entire year. My promise to you, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which of these 7 your rose is missing right now, this week. And trick number 4 is the one you are not going to believe. It looks like you're attacking the plant on purpose in the middle of the hottest month of the year. And it is one of the single most effective things a rose grower can do. Let's get into it. Quick thing before we start, drop your US state or your USDA zone in the comments right now, because almost every one of these tricks changes depending on how brutal your August actually is. Trick 1, fix the watering before you fix anything else. August is the month where good watering habits either pay off or completely fall apart. Because this is peak heat stress season for almost every rose in the country, here's what most gardening content never tells you about August watering specifically. It's not about watering more, it's about watering at the exact wrong time and in the exact wrong place. And August punishes that mistake harder than any other month. Here's the mechanism. When soil temperatures climb into the high 80s and 90s, a rose's feeder roots, the tiny hair-like roots doing almost all of the water and nutrient uptake, start shutting down above roughly 95 degrees. At the same time, the plant is losing enormous amounts of water through its leaves just trying to stay cool, a process called transpiration that goes into overdrive in August heat. If the water you're giving it never reaches deep enough to reach cooler soil and the roots that are still functioning down there, the plant is running a serious deficit even though you watered it yesterday. The mistake almost everyone makes is watering in the evening, after work, when it's finally cool enough to be outside. It feels responsible. It's actually one of the worst times you can do it in August, because water sitting on foliage overnight, in warm, humid air, is exactly the recipe black spot and powdery mildew need, and those diseases explode in late summer heat and humidity. The fix? Water deeply, early, at the base only. Get 5 to 10 gallons onto a mature rose bush twice a week before 8 a.m., delivered slowly through a soaker hose or a drip line so it actually sinks 12 to 18 inches down instead of running off the surface. If you're in a heat wave, anything 3 days running above 95, add a third watering that week. Never spray the leaves in August, ever. Cultivar note. This is exactly why a lot of experienced growers quietly move away from thirsty hybrid teas in hot climates and toward tougher landscape roses like the Drift series or Knockout roses, which tolerate a missed watering day in August without collapsing the way a delicate hybrid tea will. Trick 2. Make the August deadheading call, and it's different by zone. This is where August splits growers into 2 completely different playbooks, and mixing them up is one of the most common mistakes in the whole month. Most people treat deadheading as one rule that applies all year. It doesn't. August is the hinge point where the rule flips depending on where you live. Here's the mechanism, and it's the same seed pod signal that controls a rose's growth cycle all season. Once a spent bloom is allowed to sit on the bush and start forming a hip, a seed pod, the plant reads that as mission accomplished and starts winding down growth and hardening off for the season. If you're in a cold winter zone, that's actually useful in August because you want your rose slowing down and toughening its wood before frost, not throwing out soft, sappy new growth that a hard freeze will kill outright. If you're in a warm zone with a long fall, that same hip-forming signal just shuts down bloom production you could have kept going for another 2 months. The mistake. Gardeners in USDA zones 3 through 6 keep deadheading enthusiastically straight through August, exactly like they did in June, encouraging a fresh round of tender new growth right when the plant should be hardening off. And that new growth is the first thing a September or October frost kills. The concrete instruction. If you're in zone 3 to 6, make your last aggressive deadhead around August 15th. Then start leaving spent blooms on the plant to form hips and signal it to slow down. If you're in zone 7 to 9, keep deadheading every 5 to 7 days straight through September because you've got months of warm weather left to squeeze out of the plant. Trick 3. Switch what you're feeding it. Most people feed roses the same balanced fertilizer from spring right through Labor Day and never think twice about it. Here's what nobody explains. The nitrogen in that balanced feed, the exact same nitrogen that made your rose explode with growth in May, becomes a liability in August if you're heading into a real winter. The mechanism is straightforward. Nitrogen drives soft, leafy, sappy new growth. That's fantastic in spring when the plant has months to mature that wood before cold weather. In August, in a cold winter zone, a fresh, nitrogen-fed flush of growth doesn't have time to harden off. And unhardened cane tissue is exactly what a hard frost destroys first, sometimes taking healthy older wood down with it through dieback. The mistake: continuing a balanced, nitrogen-heavy feeding schedule into late August in a zone with an early fall frost, essentially forcing your rose to grow a layer of frost-tender tissue right before the season turns. Concrete instruction. By August 1st in zones 3 through 6, switch from a balanced formula to a low nitrogen, higher potassium feed. Something in the 0-10-10 range, which supports root strength and bloom quality without pushing soft new growth. Stop feeding entirely about 6 to 8 weeks before your average first frost date. In zones 7 through 9 with a long, mild fall, you can keep a balanced feed going through early September since frost isn't the concern. Alright, quick ask. If this is useful, hit subscribe because I put out a deep dive rose care guide almost every week, and this channel genuinely grows from people sticking around for those. Trick 4. Cut it back hard right now in the middle of summer. This is the one I told you to wait for, and I want to be upfront about how it sounds before I explain it. In the middle of August, while your rose is still green, still growing, still putting out the occasional bloom, you are going to cut off roughly a third of the entire plant on purpose. It feels insane. It feels like you're sabotaging a plant that's finally doing fine in the heat. It is one of the most reliable tricks experienced rose growers use, and in warmer growing regions, it's sometimes called the Labor Day prune, time to land 6 to 8 weeks before the first expected frost. Here's the mechanism, and it's the same energy concentration principle behind any hard prune, but the timing is what makes it powerful specifically in August. A rose that's been blooming and growing all summer has energy spread across dozens of tired canes, old blooms, and half-formed hips. When you cut hard right now, you strip away all of that competing demand at once, and the plant redirects everything it's got into a smaller number of strong new shoots. Because soil is still warm and days are still long enough for fast growth, those new shoots come on fast. And because they're timed to open in the cooler, softer light of September and October instead of the harsh glare of July, the resulting blooms are frequently bigger, deeper in color, and slower to fade than anything the plant produced all summer. The mistake gardeners make. They assume any hard cut in still hot August will stress or even kill the plant, so we skip it entirely and just keep deadheading lightly. And they miss the single biggest bloom flush their rose was capable of producing all year. Concrete instruction. 6 to 8 weeks before your average first frost date, cut every healthy cane back by about 1/3, remove anything thinner than a pencil, cut out crossing or rubbing branches, and clean up all remaining spent blooms and forming hips in the same session. Make each cut just above an outward-facing bud, same as any other prune. Water deeply and feed with that low nitrogen formula from Trick 3 right after you cut. Within 3 to 4 weeks, you should see a wave of vigorous new growth setting up for a fall bloom flush that will genuinely outshine your midsummer show. Trick 5. Hunt for the 2 pests that peak in August. Everyone blames black spot for late summer rose damage, and black spot is real, but here's what most gardening content skips entirely. The 2 pests that do the most damage in August aren't fungal at all, and hot, dry weather is exactly what they wait for. First, spider mites. Here's the mechanism. Mites reproduce explosively in hot, dry conditions, sometimes completing a full generation in under a week when temperatures sit in the 90s, which is exactly an August heat wave. You won't usually see the mites themselves at first. You'll see fine stippling or a dusty bronzed look on the leaves, and if it's bad, actual fine webbing on the undersides. The mistake? Reaching for a broad spectrum insecticide the moment you see leaf damage, which often kills off the predatory mites and beneficial insects that were naturally keeping the pest mite population in check. And mite outbreaks frequently get worse, not better, after a broad spray, because the predators die faster than the mites do. Concrete instruction. Check the undersides of lower leaves weekly through August. If you find mites, blast the undersides with a strong jet of water every 3 days for 2 weeks, which physically knocks most of the population off, and follow up with insecticidal soap or horticultural oil. Second, Japanese beetles, which peak in a roughly 6 to 8 week window centered on midsummer into August depending on your region, and they go straight for rose flowers and leaves, skeletonizing them fast. The trap you've probably seen sold at every garden center is one of the most common mistakes here. Pheromone traps can pull beetles in from well over 500 feet away, meaning you're often luring more beetles into your yard than the trap actually catches. Concrete instruction. Skip the traps entirely. Hand-pick beetles into a jar of soapy water in the early morning when they're sluggish and slow to fly, and do it daily. A rose like a knockout will usually shrug off 2 or 3 weeks of beetle damage and bounce back fast, while a delicate hybrid tea can look skeletonized and stressed for a month afterward. Trick 6. Top up the mulch before it disappears on you. The mulch you spread back in April is not the mulch protecting your roots in August. Organic mulch breaks down steadily all summer, and by the height of August, it's often thinned to under an inch without anyone noticing, right at the exact moment root protection matters most. Here's the mechanism. Bare or thinly mulched soil in direct August sun can climb well past 100 degrees at the surface, and rose feeder roots start suffering real dieback above roughly 95 degrees. A thick mulch layer acts as insulation, keeping that root zone dramatically cooler and far more stable. Concrete instruction. Check mulch depth in the second week of August. If it's under 2 inches, top it back up to a full 3 inches of organic material. Compost, shredded bark, or leaf mold all work, keeping it pulled back an inch or 2 from the base of the canes so the crown itself can breathe. Quick question for the comments. What's the highest temperature your roses have actually pushed through this August? I want to know how brutal it's getting out there. Trick 7. Give it shade during the worst heat spikes. This last one surprises people because it feels backwards for a plant that's famous for wanting full sun. Here's what nobody tells you. Full sun is a spring and fall recommendation. In an actual August heat wave, that same sun can shut a rose's growth down completely for days at a time. The mechanism. Once leaf temperatures climb too high, a rose's stomata, the microscopic pores that let it breathe and photosynthesize, close up to prevent water loss. That's a survival move, but it also means photosynthesis grinds nearly to a halt right in the middle of the day, exactly when the sun is strongest. A rose sitting in blazing, unfiltered afternoon sun during a 100-degree stretch can spend hours each day essentially not growing at all, even though it looks like it's getting the perfect conditions. The mistake. Doing nothing extra during a heat wave because roses love sun, when a few days of relief during the worst hours could have kept it actively growing. Concrete instruction. When the forecast calls for 3 or more days above 95 degrees, throw 30% shade cloth over exposed roses from roughly 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., the hottest window of the day. Then remove it once the heat wave breaks. Combined with the deep, early watering from Trick 1, this keeps a rose actively growing straight through the worst week of the year. So back to those 2 bushes, the one melting in the heat and the one still pushing buds like nothing was happening. Here's your complete August rose checklist. Water deep and early at the base only. Make your zone-appropriate call on deadheading by mid-August. Switch to a low nitrogen feed if frost is coming. Cut back hard 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost to force the biggest bloom flush. Patrol weekly for spider mites and Japanese beetles. Top up your mulch and throw shade cloth over your roses during any heat wave. Do even 3 or 4 of these this month and you'll watch your rose come out of August stronger than it went in, instead of just barely hanging on. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these were you not doing before this video? And seriously, what's the worst heat your roses have survived so far this summer? Drop both in the comments because I read every one and they shape exactly what I cover next. If this helped, hit subscribe. There's a full fall rose care guide coming that picks up right where this one leaves off. Now go check your mulch depth before you do anything else today.